Thank you for tuning into the Devy Devotional Podcast, a monthly show focusing on Devy prospects, strategies, and incoming rookies. Now here's your host.
Welcome back to the Devy Devotional. I am your host, Dynasty Coach A. As always, I'm joined by @Duchesnes_ and @AaronWilcox86. It's been a while, guys. It has been a while, but for good reason. We have Aaron officially becoming a doctor. I can finally say Dr. Wilcox. We have Duchesnes getting married. I can finally say Mr. Duchesnes _ and so congratulations are in order for both of them. I basically just stare at spreadsheets and watch football all day every day, so like nothing crazy going on for me. But tonight, we are here to talk about the incoming rookies, and it's pretty exciting. We've talked about it a lot in our group chat and everything, but this is really the first time that we're going to be sitting down and coming up with kind of a consensus top 24. And the thing is, we're going in blind. No one knows who the other person has here and who the other person has there or anything like that. So it's going to be pretty cool. We're going to also kind of just talk about comps for the class and see what happens, see how we feel about the class in general, because honestly, it's kind of gotten shit on. But first, let me introduce my co-hosts, and let's start with Duchesnes. How are you doing, Mr. Duchesnes _?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I think our last episode was in September. We kind of took the pulse of what was going on, and things have changed mightily since. I had Rattler at QB1 at the time. A lot has gone on and a lot has gone wrong, but it's good to be here.
Absolutely. I know Aaron and I did a pod together and that you couldn't make since then. I think our last official pod was 2 months ago, but still, it wasn't with Duchesne. So yeah, the last one probably was September, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, how quickly time flies. Aaron, like I said, 2 months. It's been a while. How you been?
Yeah, it definitely has been too long, but I've been good. I'm really excited to get back on with you guys, break down some prospects, and lately I've been starting to watch the 2025 class too, so it's getting me pumped for everything Devy and campus to Canton wise.
Yeah, I feel like Aaron's definitely our recruit guy. I've not done hardly anything with recruits, and I don't know any of those guys. And here we got Aaron looking at 2025 guys.
I've been making my way around looking at some 2027 prospects on the middle school fields around here. Speak for yourself, John.
Oh, my bad. Ted needs to sign up for Aaron's Patreon. But alrighty, so. Like I said, it really seems like this class has just really gotten shit on. People have gone to the point of not even wanting a first round pick in this class. They'll do anything to get out of it, get into the 2023 class, or just get rid of their picks altogether. But Aaron, let's start off with you. How do you feel about the class? Is it all doom and gloom?
Certainly not. So this class I really, really do like from the wide receiver standpoint, and then also the top couple running backs I think are solid. So yes, we're not talking like the JTs or going back to like the Christian McCaffreys and Dalvin Cook and Kamara, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe not that class from a running back perspective, but the top guys are no slouches. They're pretty young, especially Spiller and Brees. I'll have to double check on the age. They're, I think, 20 and a half years old. So, I mean, they're really young guys who can become feature backs in the league. So I'm excited about the wide receivers and the running backs to a certain extent. The quarterbacks, for me, is kind of when things start getting a little dicey. And then, yes, we don't have a Kyle Pitts or anything from this tight end class, but I mean, most tight end classes don't have that. So overall, it's a good class. We'll just have to see what happens with these quarterbacks. But how about you guys? What are you thinking about this class?
I agree. I was under the impression that this class was garbage, so I used a lot of my picks to trade for assets to go for the championship and stuff last year, thinking that I'd be able to get these picks back because this class is so bad, right? It's so garbage. Get rid of these picks. Yeah, I've had very little success getting 22 picks back. You go out on the market, they're not easy to get. So everyone's saying how bad it is, but they don't want to trade their picks away.
Yeah, that's very true. I guess the people that do have them have a little excitement. And to be fair, or to comment on what Aaron was saying, I have not looked at the tight ends at all. In fact, I don't even have a tight end in my top 24 tonight, so I might be missing out on a guy there. But I generally don't care enough about the tight ends until we actually get into until Feisty Dave does his database, and then, or I'm sorry, FF_Spaceman does his database, and then I'll go and get the tight ends and add them into the model and all that kind of good stuff. But like you were saying, Duchesne's is, it's just not easy to get these picks right now, and I guess rightfully so. As far as the class is concerned, like I don't think. Like Aaron was saying, it doesn't have the top end. It doesn't have a Jamar Chase. It doesn't have a T-Law or Justin Fields even. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom. And in fact, I really do think that this wide receiver class is actually pretty fun. Maybe not like truly special or anything like that, but I'm actually getting pretty excited about some of these guys, and even some of the players that I wasn't necessarily excited about. Now that I'm starting to see like projected draft capital and stuff like that, I'm actually getting a little more excited about them as like possible flex players, wide receiver threes, like whatever. Like maybe they're not going to be, once again, a Jamar Chase, a Jalen Waddle, or whoever, but they can be an Amon-Ra St. Brown or somebody, maybe not that. I mean, I know he's like wide receiver 1 at this point, but so somebody good.
Yeah, I think this class is it's the contrast of the years it's between 21 and 23. But if you go back, like it's like a 2020 class, which I think was a pretty decent class. It's not like we're talking about I don't even know, it was a 2013 with EJ Manuel. I know it's going way back, but like that class was freaking terrible.
Gio Bernard is the running back one.
Yeah, and on tight ends, I usually run sort of the same way you do, and I don't care, but I have paid attention a little bit more this year, and I actually like a couple tight ends. And as much as I bicker with them, a quick shout out to Ted, tight end Dave at Guru Fantasy World or whatever. What is it? Something like that. He's got he's got a checklist for tight ends, and there's a lot of green on these rookies coming in as far as dominator rating and stuff. It's still to find out about their combine and their metrics, but I just noticed there was some green in there, so good on you, Ted.
Well, I know that you're a big Trey McBride fan there, Duchesne, so he's pretty solid.
Yeah, like a 25th round campus to Canton pick. It's one of the few I made.
Oh, that's awesome. And just for anyone that is new to the pod or anything like that, like I said, Aaron and Duchesne's are more of the like Devy experts. I'm pretty new to it, but I've also kind of built my Devy model now, and so I have a pretty good idea of what's going on there. But I still like to defer to these guys when something's not adding up or something's not right. I go back and forth with them and trying to figure it all out. So make sure you listen to their expertise. Do either of you have an actual comp for this class? I know Duchesne's kind of already said 2020. Aaron, do you have an idea or do you not really want to comp with anything?
Yeah, I really do think it's tough to comp because, I mean, when you look back to 2020, there was quite a bit of talent in that class still. So, yeah, it's a really tough.
I bet 2018. Time flies. 2018 was the draft that I was meaning to reference. Not Joe Burrow, not Tua, not Herbert. My bad. Let me rewind that. 2018.
Well, and then the 2019 class, that's that underwhelming, like Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Darrell Henderson, Miles Sanders. And, we got some starters out of that class. I mean, Montgomery's led some guys to fantasy championships, and Jacobs been okay, right? He's been steady. So maybe somewhat similar to that class from a running back perspective, even though I think Brees and Spiller at least can give us a little bit more juice than those guys. And then, I mean, maybe with that 2019 class, you can say, yeah, I could see a DK Metcalf or an AJ Brown coming out of this class for sure. Maybe not the wide receiver 1 in all of Dynasty, but, very, very good wide receivers who can creep up into that wide receiver 1 or, top 12 range. So there's certainly, I guess, some parallels with the 2019 class, but not a perfect match by any means.
Yeah, 2018 was the class that I meant. Like it's talking with like the quarterbacks where you had Baker, Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, and then you had Josh Allen. So 1 smashed and 4 busts or 3 busts. And then, like, the running backs were Sony Michel and Nick, and then there were some decent ones later, like Nick Chubb and stuff. The wide receivers, you're looking at DJ Moore and Ridley. Those might have been more surefire than what we might get in this draft. I don't know, kind of close, but comps aren't perfect. But I was, it has a very big 2018 feel for me.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I actually had it as a better version of the 2019 class as far as the running backs. Like at least slightly better, but honestly, I would probably say like a good amount better. And this might sound crazy, and it probably is crazy, but I really feel like this wide receiver class is very 2021 without Jamar Chase, with no Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that tonight. I'm like, doesn't have the Chase, like you already said a couple times, but man, everybody else pretty solid. And honestly, let's say you took Chase out. I know we can't do that, but you took Chase out of last year's rookie class. I think I might take this year's rookie wide receiver class over last year's, but that's without Chase involved. So I mean, that's a totally different story in real life.
I think it's close. Oh, you're muted, douche.
We also saw this class already too. So I mean, maybe before we saw them going into the draft process. If I stacked them up now, I don't know. Maybe if you took Chase out, I could get behind that. But yeah, seeing them was already made it a little different, because I guess I do agree though.
Are you disappointed from this last year's rookie class, Deshanes?
Nope. No.
Okay.
No.
I was just curious. Some of these wide receivers, I mean, they showed up well, but I mean, truly, how many of them broke out? Waddle.
I feel like not many of them really busted though. Like at the top, like you had Tony was kind of hurt, and Rondale, my baby, did not fare well this year. But like, I had Chase at like wide receiver 9 going into the year, like, and he went up obviously. But then I had the other rookies for the most part around wide receiver 20 with DVS, Waddle, Rondale, Bateman, and Elijah. Like, they were all kind of there. They all kind of stayed right around there. Some of them moved up, like Waddle and Elijah, and yeah, I already said Waddle. But
I feel like the only one that you can truly say busted is Terrace Marshall. I mean, yeah, he couldn't even get on the field over Shi Smith. Like it was not good. But I mean, everyone else kind of has an excuse if they didn't break out. Bateman was injured; his quarterback wasn't always there. Similar story, not the injuries, but with DVS, Devontae Smith. Not the greatest quarterback play, not the most. They weren't even throwing that much, but yet he still had a really good rookie. I mean, he broke the rookie record. I know it was in an extra game, but he broke the rookie record for the Eagles. I mean, I'm still very excited about Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Even I'm a little bit lower on Bateman than I was pre-draft, but I still have him. I still have him as a good prospect, as a good wide receiver. It's just I'm just not as excited. I kind of felt like he could have been something special, and I don't quite get that that feeling anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so that was my comp for it, was not a Jamar Chase led 2021 draft, and so hopefully that gets you guys a little more excited about it, because I've listened to a lot of Devy pods, a lot of Dynasty pods or whatever, talking about everyone's talking about the rookies right now. It's the exciting thing to do, and it seems like, I mean, I have some people in different group chats that I'm talking to that are like, I don't want a single player out there and everything. So I kind of want people to realize that it's not that bad. But are you guys ready to start our mock here?
Born ready.
Born ready. All right. In no particular order, I have it set up as Aaron, Deshanes, myself, and then we'll just repeat. We're not drafting one team. We're drafting for multiple teams, with those picks, and we'll just repeat over and over again. And obviously, we are not drafting for team needs, because why would you ever do that? We are drafting best player available.
To show off your mocks on Twitter. That's why you draft for need.
Exactly. All right, Aaron, you are on the clock with the 101 of the 2022 rookie draft.
Yeah, I'll make it quick and easy. Breece Hall, guy who's just dominated since he set foot on the field in college. He said nothing but impressed. He's got the workhorse size. He's been able to handle the workload, stay healthy. He's got enough athleticism, plenty of receiving ability. He can do it all. And partially because of this quarterback uncertainty with this class. I mean, we can dive more into that on a QB specific pod here this offseason. But yeah, I think running back is going to be a position that maybe some people are sleeping on, but I want Brees Hall first overall here.
Yeah, this makes it really good for me actually, because Brees Hall grew on me. I wasn't really high on him coming into the year. I thought he might have been a little overrated, but he's just a workhorse, and the other team knows that the offense runs through him, and he still got everything he wanted. His average, his yards per carry went up. He can catch the ball. He's a complete back. Now, does he have the top end ceiling? Maybe not. I hope he doesn't get drafted in the first, or maybe I hope he does, because anyways, he's the type of guy that will be like Josh Jacobs, where he'll produce, but people will just be disappointed because he was a first round running back that isn't giving you Jonathan Taylor stats or something. Brees Hall at 101. I like it because he was going to be my 102.
Ooh, fair. And just to add one thing too, like we talked about, there's no chase in this class, so it is really tough leading off. I'd rather trade down, but
exactly.
If I have to pick a guy, he'll be the one.
I mean, even with Chase though, you were getting Chase at 105, and that was still fair because you had two great quarterbacks and a fantastic tight end. So at 102, I'm going to take Traylon Burks, which I really like taking at 102 because I don't want to take a wide receiver at 101. I don't know. It just feels icky from maybe years past where I've burned myself with wide receivers at 101. But yeah, Traylon Burks, he's moved up for me. I couldn't keep him down anymore. He's just an absolute beast. He should be drafted well. I don't really care about the landing spot too much. Nothing comes to mind where I would significantly drop him in my ranks. But yeah, big play guy, can do it all. But this might be another spot where I would try and trade down, but I don't see 103 wanting to trade up. So
no. Yeah, I'm with you guys, but I think I would lean Hall. I know you had him as you had Hall as your 101, and then Douche had Burks as his 101. I just think that, like Aaron was saying, that Burks isn't necessarily that much higher than the rest of the wide receivers to me, to where I'm like, I have to get him. I'd rather go get Hall there, and then I'd still get one of these other guys if I have multiple picks, or trade back in or whatever it is. But I'm not going to argue with either pick. I mean, they're the two top guys as far as I'm concerned.
That's a great point. I have a tier of 3 as my first tier. There's 2 wide receivers and 1 running back, so that's a good point, John.
Yeah, so that's why I'd be sticking with Hall there at 101. We have Burks at 102, and then I know this is where it starts getting tricky for people. It's not tricky for me at all. I love Matt Corral. I know Deshane's isn't the biggest fan. But as far as this QB class, it's not overly exciting. And I think that the one player that I am truly excited about is Matt Corral. I mean, he basically did everything that we wanted him to do with Elijah Moore, with these high-end players. And then this year, he didn't have any of that. He didn't have nearly as much of that. And he still performed really well. He's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for, I think. And, in this day and age and in this kind of, fantasy scoring, that's a big deal. And so I really feel like, obviously, it's going to be landing spot dependent, draft capital, all that kind of stuff. But as of right now, pre-draft, I'm going with Corral there. I feel like it's a safe pick. And, it's probably the most upside of a QB that you're going to get in this draft.
I would argue the biggest upside, but I think he has the safe upside, like kind of a blend of the two. He's gone from QB1 for me, and he's from a QB1 and a tier 2 guy to QB3-4 back to back and a tier 4 guy for me after watching more and stuff. Just a little worried about arm strength and decision making as far as but that is really, really picky. So that's why he's fallen, is because I kind of started liking some position players more.
Yeah, that's fair. And I do like Corral too. I think he gets a bad rap for the couple of blow-up games he's had. Maybe partially due to that decision making, but overall, it's not like he's out there throwing picks every game. He's had a couple of bad blow-up games, sure, but he does have a lot of tools and mobility, like John was saying. So I'm
I
going to
like
follow that
him.
up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I like him and I like his toughness and stuff, but his toughness sometimes gets in his own way and he takes some really big hits that he didn't need to.
I will say I've heard quite a few people say that recently, and so I mean it could be something that actually it becomes a detriment, for him in the NFL. Obviously that, and like I said, I defer to you guys sometimes when it comes to this kind of stuff, because I'm not sit there watching these prospects or anything. I'm staring at the numbers, and the numbers are saying that he's really good, but you're not going to see that he could possibly be injury prone or more prone to injury because of something like that.
That's fair. And that puts me up at the 104. It's a really tough decision here, going back between two positions. I think I'm going to go with a quarterback, though. I'm going to go with Sam Howell here. And similar to what you were saying with Matt Corral, John, Howell actually showed a very, very surprising bit of upside with his rushing ability this season. He had, I'll have to go back to look exactly, he had, 800 plus rushing yards, 11 rushing touchdowns this season. And he's done nothing but impress since he stepped on the field as a true freshman. And yes, he had a down season. I mean, he lost his top two targets of this season, and the team just didn't perform to the same standards. So there might be some concern, but I haven't seen him slipping out of the first round anywhere in mocks, based on what I've seen recently. So I still think that he's a first round NFL quarterback, and he has some fantasy upside with the rushing and decent passing ability. So he'll be my 104 here.
I like it, and honestly, I feel like it's very contrarian right now, because a lot of people are hating on Hal. I don't know that you would necessarily have to draft Hal here at 104, but I understand doing it. And like you said, if anything, Hal might be more athletic than Corral even. And so there's I kind of said that Corral had the most upside. I guess I meant the most safe upside, like Duchesne's was saying, because if anything, like Hal or obviously some of the other QBs could have more upside, but they're a hell of a lot more risky, I would assume. So, but yeah, I definitely don't mind the pick at all. I just wonder if you would have to take him there, or if you could wait a few picks. But once again, there's not that many good QBs in this class, or great QBs, or what we're assuming are great prospects. So I don't mind going and getting your guy, especially if Corral's already gone, and you might be sitting there going, hey, there's not too much else left.
Oh, totally agree. And looking at the landscape of fantasy quarterbacks in Dynasty, it's really tough after the first couple of tiers. So sometimes, I mean, I don't want to tell our listeners to reach on quarterbacks that are not worthy of it, but quarterback is that desirable super flex position to fill. So, but those really good points there. Might not needed to reach.
I think it is at this point right now. I think he is a 104. He's my 105 actually. He's my QB1 now. I was lower to begin with. But I think he is really safe. I think he will drop a little bit though after Pickett, I assume, is picked pretty early. I don't know. There's QB1 talk, and that seems to a fire seems to follow that smoke. But I'm assuming someone gets high draft capital over Howell and might push him down, but I think he'll be a top 6 pick for mostly every draft. So we are sitting at 105, and I get my 103 here with Garrett Wilson. Now, the beauty of this class, if you had multiple picks, which we don't, I'm just going straight off my rankings and big board, is that I like these wide receivers more because I like Burks for his upside. And I like Wilson for his. I just think he's almost bust proof. He's that type of guy that I think can just translate to the NFL really well. The other guys, there's so many other wide receivers to pick from. That's why it almost hurts taking a wide receiver this early. But I just find that I like Burks' upside and Wilson's transition to the NFL game. I'm okay doing it here. But ideally, you get one of the late wide receivers and they smash. I feel like this class will be very much where you'll have one of those a couple third round picks, like a McLaurin or something that'll hit, or a Deontay Johnson, and then they'll be super overvalued because they hit. They called them, but that feels like that type of draft.
Yeah, I don't disagree, because there's more players in this draft class than I think like any draft class ever before, because of the COVID year and because of the eligibility and everything. So I think that there's actually going to be more wide receivers in this class. and you can only draft so many players, as far as the NFL is concerned. So it wouldn't be that crazy for some of these like 3rd round picks, 4th round picks, and even beyond to hit. Even if it's not like a major hit, but that's why I think it's going to be important. I've been kind of like stockpiling 3rds and 4ths and stuff in the 2022 class, because I want to go, have the dart throws. Like, they're not all going to hit, obviously. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are, it's never going to happen. But yeah, I definitely like that take. And now I'm sitting here at 106, and I kind of have a very close decision here. I'm not really sure exactly which one I would end up taking, but I really fell in love with the player this year, so I'm going to go ahead and take Jameson Williams here. I know the injury concerns. Obviously, he just tore his ACL. Terrible play, but man, was he exciting before that. And everything I'm seeing is that he's still going to get like top 20 draft capital, possibly even higher than that. And if that happens, then I'm perfectly fine with him here. Obviously, if he falls and there's injury concerns or anything like that, that's a completely different story. But right now, I think I have him projected at like 16 overall or something in the draft. And so if that happens, I'm perfectly fine here. There was another player, a running back that I was looking at that I might have decided, but I have them so close. I mean, like I'm looking at their scores right here and it's almost a tie. So I went with Jameson. Like I said, he's exciting. I honestly think that he can be like a Jalen Waddle, that exciting kind of player. I know we didn't quite see it with Waddle, but I still think he has that there. But I just think that kind of like explosive, exciting player that it can really blow up.
He's got a lot of juice, man. And the tough thing is, obviously, he sat those first. Well, he didn't sit. I mean, he played very sparingly those first 2 years. So depends what you think was the big barrier for him getting on the field there. But honestly, what he did at Alabama was impressive in his 3rd season out there. Not to make, yeah, well, we can chat about the wide receiver class more in the future. I do like that pick for sure. Though there was another wide receiver I might have considered before him. But now that I am up here at 107, I am going to pick that running back that you mentioned there, John. I'm going to pick, Isaiah Spiller. I assume that's the one, but yeah, that's
it was not.
I'm going with. Oh,
it
really?
was not. No,
okay.
I have somebody else above Spiller.
Well, I know we have that mutual appreciation for Devin Achane, so at Texas A&M. So that kind of ate into Isaiah Spiller's workload. But as far as what you need out of a feature back, Isaiah Spiller has it. He has the size. He has the pass catching. A lot of the same things I said for Brees can go for Spiller, just maybe not quite the same production profile from Spiller himself. So I really like him. He's going to be my pick here at 107. And I know how much we covet running backs in Dynasty. So that was another reason that I went running back here.
Especially if he gets the draft capital that I think people are expecting him to get, then he's probably going to be a workhorse back. He has that workhorse size, and he has the pass catching, like you said. So I definitely don't mind it. I'm a little concerned about about his athleticism, not like overly concerned or anything, but I feel like if he goes out and just bombs the combine, then maybe that draft capital won't be there as much, and so. And I still have him as a top back, but I just don't have him as my next running back. What do you think, Deshanes?
I like it. I have Spiller as my 104, actually top of my tier 2. That might be a little bit of follow the leader, me just following everyone else's hype. But I do like him, and I like the pick. Another guy that can catch the ball, play in the SEC, tore it up slightly. So, yeah, I like the Spiller pick at 107 for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I didn't even mention this, but he tore it up since he got on the field as a true freshman too, in the SEC, like you mentioned, Deshane. So yeah, it's certainly good for that. Wow,
it's almost like we do this together, because that is such a great transition to tearing it up as a freshman at 108. I'm the wide receiver guy, I guess. It's almost lame because I want to take these position players, but I'm following my board, and at 108 I'm getting my 106, David Bell out of Purdue, like the big boy. Me and my Purdue my Purdue wide receivers. So
You do like some Purdue wide receivers.
you might want to fade this guy. You might want to fade him. There's some worry about his size. He's listed at 6'2", 205. I'm not sure he's there, but I don't think we'll get a Rashad Bateman, 5'8", 140 or whatever he came in at. I expect David Bell to be at least 6 feet, 200. But this is the type of guy that isn't the best route guy, but he just makes the damn catch. Like, he'll go up and he'll get that damn ball. And I love to see that from my wide receivers. And he's my wide receiver 3 in this class, actually.
I actually love to hear that because obviously Duchesne's is a more of a film guy. He's like 97.4% film.
I don't know what that point is. What is the point?
Oh yeah. Maybe, but so yeah, it's actually good to hear because I feel like most film guys are just completely out on Bell.
Yeah, dude, I saw wrist catching motherfuckers falling down over his head, one-handed catches. I don't care if he catches it with his freaking femur, dude. He brings it in.
No, I mean, I know he was at the powerhouse of Purdue, but yeah, I mean, he, as exciting as Rondale Moore was, he was right there with him, last year. And if anything, he actually outperformed Rondale, in their final year together. So,
and seeing it, I love to see it this year without Rondale, garnering all that attention on the short stuff, just leaving him open. It was good to see him do it without Rondale.
And people are so worried about his athleticism, and yet he had some big blow up games. I don't think you get that with your N'Keal Harrys and they're whoever, these slow plodding wide receivers. No, I don't see that. Actually, like I said, I really love. Here, what was it, 108? I love that.
Thank you.
Guys, we need to talk about David Bell, but maybe on another episode because I got some things to say. But I'm not a hater by any means, but I'm not going to be
like a hater.
I'm not going to be as high on him as you guys know. So let's leave that for another day.
All right.
I know Aaron has mentioned some David Bell comments in the past, so I know he's not exactly the biggest fan. And I guess, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add too. I mean, I have an appreciation for what he's done as far as analytically, because early declare, breakout age, dominator rating, best season target share, best season touchdown share, all of them really good. So he has a lot going for him.
It's crazy that I think film guys are just trying to find something because the analytics guys like him so much. They can't just agree.
Possibly.
He doesn't run the best routes. Okay, he doesn't, but
that's why we're not picking him at 101,
Yeah. I think 108, but the thing is, I don't think you have to take him at 108. I'm just simply going off my board. He'll be there.
Sure.
He should be there in the second 201 with the way this class.
And that's fair. I do think that you guys hit on it without really talking about it as a detrimental part of his game, but he's not making these big plays is the issue. He's making big grabs, very, very good contested catches, crazy catches. Yeah, but he's averaging 12, 11.8, 13.8 yards per reception. His yards per team pass attempts, not very impressive, kind of below average. Besides a couple right. Those are things that we have to consider within the context of the offense. But as far as, him creating yards after the catch, he's very low. He's below average. He had last year in 2020, he had 3.7 yards average after the catch. 5 is a good mark. So that's very below average as far as that. So I do have some concerns. That is the
big concern is he doesn't separate. That's where the N'Keal Harry comps have been coming from.
Or he doesn't win deep. But like I said, I have some thoughts, but I would like to go into depth on that.
I love how Aaron was like, we're not going to talk about it tonight. And then he's like, yards per team passes.
Let me tell you, no.
Let me see a quarterback that can throw deep, and then I'll see if he can't catch it deep.
Exactly. And I get the concerns. I actually have him as my 108. So as of right now, so I'm right there with you. That's why I was saying I love the pick. But I have somebody, right? Cheers. I have somebody that was basically tied with my last pick, and he's still on the board. And I know he doesn't necessarily have the most complete profile or anything like that, but I do think that Kenneth Walker out of Michigan State is actually somebody that I'm going to be excited about, especially once we, see everything, come out from the combine, draft capital, all that kind of good stuff. Like I said, he doesn't have the full profile coming from Wake Forest. He really, I can't sit here and tell you because I wasn't watching. I don't know why he couldn't get on the field or, needed to transfer, but he did. He transfers to Michigan State and he just blows up. He had 1,735 scrimmage yards this season, just 19 scrimmage touchdowns. Like, the dude balled out. And he's 5'10", 210 pounds, something right around there. I think in this running back class, once again, I want to go ahead and lean there. And, I considered him when I took Jameson Williams. I might have gone Kenneth Walker there. And honestly, like, I've heard some excitement for Walker, and then I've heard other people are just kind of out on him and everything. So it'll really just depend on how everyone else feels after the draft. But like, I won't want to miss Walker to get Jameson if that's what it's going to take,
Walker will be gone. Williams won't be the pick there when it comes around. Williams will be Walker will be like a top 6 pick. I think people really like him, and the people that like him are probably in the bottom 6 of drafts. Sorry, that was just too good a joke that came up. I think Walker's fine. But I think people really like him, and he'll be a top 6 pick, I think.
Yeah, or at least top 8. But yeah, it's a solid pick here for sure. Anything else you guys would like to add, or should I go to what's that 110?
He's going to be too rich for me. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, and I definitely don't have him in the Brees tier. I do actually have him ahead of Isaiah Spiller, so that's probably a pretty big surprise for a lot of people.
I don't think so, because there's going to be a lot of Walker RB1 talk come.
Yeah, I don't see that happening for me at least, but I can definitely see it happening. I've heard of people already saying it.
That's what I'm saying. People are already saying it, so
yeah, I could definitely see it.
I just don't understand what Walker does better than Brees Hall, but
not much
for the running back pod. So okay,
all right, who you got
here? This has been the easiest pick for me so far, and this is Drake London, wide receiver, USC. So London is a guy who just checks a ton of boxes for me, and he did everything I needed him to. So I was a little bit lower on him coming into this season because could he play outside was the question. He had played a ton in the slot for this really big wide receiver. It's like, well, can he actually win outside? That's likely how he's going to be deployed at the NFL level. And he dominated this season. He killed it. And he had already broken out, early in his career and flashed. So he just continued to, absolutely dominate this year. And he silenced a lot of the questions or criticisms I had of him. His injury is unfortunate, but I mean, he's going to be back a lot sooner than Jameson Williams. With his ankle injury. So that's Drake London, who had the ankle injury. I think it was in November. So yeah, but he should be back for training camp, everything there. So I really, really like what I saw development wise out of London, and he has a lot of athletic traits that I like as well. So we'll see what the NFL gives him for draft capital, but I still think he's, day 1 or early day 2 type of a guy.
I might be surprised if he's day 1, but not like shocked, but I see him as like a round 2 guy. If he goes round 3, that's a little far, I think. Yeah. But I mean, I think he's just Michael Pittman, but much better.
He was blowing up this year. I mean, that injury was so sad because I saw him. I'm sitting there doing my Devy model, and I'm just seeing him creep up every week. And then all of a sudden, he was up at the top, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And then he gets hurt. And I mean, dude was just blowing up. Now, obviously, I don't think he had a lot of competition around him or anything like that. But that doesn't really like take away from what he did.
And I mean, he was dealing with Slovis, and I don't know if they made the QB change while he was still playing, but so like there was not the best situation around him either. But he was averaging like 11 catches and 110 yards and a touchdown every game for 8 weeks. So yeah, like he was absolutely crushing. What was that? Was that 110?
That was 110. You were up at 111, but I like that London pick though.
Yeah, I've got London at 108 on my board, but I still have my 107, my last tier 2 guy. And I feel like this is a guy that at 111, he will definitely be gone, I feel. If he gets even decent draft capital, he'll be a top 3 pick, I think, which will be wild for me. But Malik Willis, I think he has the biggest upside of the quarterbacks. He like we were talking about, I think Sam Howell is safe. I have him ahead of Willis. I've got Willis in the same tier. Then you had Corral, who I thought was, the safe upside quarterback. But he played at Liberty, and he's got the most dual threat capability in this draft. I don't know. I would like to hear what you guys think. He came from Auburn and went to Liberty, where he finally was able to tear it up, especially my UMass Minutemen. Just absolutely throttled him, covered the 50-point spread like nobody's business. Or I think it was 35-point spread. I was like, hammer it. He beat him by like 50.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I actually love that pick there. And a lot of the dynasty community is skeptical right now. Does he get the draft capital? Because that first-round draft capital is probably a huge deciding factor for a lot of reasons. But guys like Daniel Jeremiah, Todd McShay have recently mocked him in the mid to late first. Mel Kiper has went out and said he is the most talented quarterback in this class, and he compared his talent to Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. So all of these guys from the which is crazy, right? But absolutely.
We still listening to Mel Kiper in 2022.
Yeah, but these guys are plugged in. They're not going to put their careers on the line just to spew out some stuff that the NFL doesn't believe.
Sure.
And NFL is really after all these traits. So they're coveting the guys with the athleticism and with the arm strength. And Malik Willis has a lot of those, and he can be that Konami code. So I do like the pick here. I mean, yes, there's risk with it for sure if he drops in the draft or whatnot. But even if he's in the second round, he's like Jalen Hurts, who's been balling. So I like it.
Going back to my 2018 comp, I could see a team pulling a Lamar Jackson, trading for the 32nd pick and getting 5th-year option on him.
Yep. Actually, that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, Lamar Jackson was like a 112, 201, kind of pick in that class for rookie drafts. And I really feel like this is the place where you take that upside. I'm not a Malik Willis guy at all. I don't like him. But I understand the upside here. And, I mean, I also understand that no one's going to be Josh Allen. Stop comping people to Josh Allen. And I'm not saying that you are, but I've heard it on a lot of pods. But if there was, but that's when you take somebody like that has that upside at 111, not at 102, not at 104, 111, 112, somewhere around there. So I have no issues whatsoever with taking that upside pick because there's not that many QBs in this class that we're excited about. But I feel like I would be a complete fraud if I did not take my boy in the first round, wrapping up the first round of 112, Jahan Dotson, my baby boy. Somehow, some way, he became my guy this season. Aaron started sending me highlights, YouTube clips in our DMs, and just I fell in love. And I think a lot of people hate the fact, you have the analytics people that hate the fact that he's a senior. You have the analytics people that hate the fact that he didn't break out when he was 18 years old, and then you have the film guys that I don't even know what they would say, like because guy does everything right. So yeah. But I mean, I've heard a lot of people are just completely out on Dotson, or he's my wide receiver 9 in the class or whatever, and couldn't be me, so I'm taking him here at 112. The one thing I will say is, in my Devy model, in my rookie model, I discount players for being a senior. I discount players for breaking out a little bit later. And he still shows up this highly because of what he's done on the field. So I think that shows us. Also the fact that he's a punt returner, I think shows some of that dynamism that we've seen in the past. Not comping him to Tyreek Hill by any means, but something like that where you get that dynamism.
Tyreek Hill, you heard it here.
Tyreek Dotson, you heard it here first. What do you guys think? Dotson at 112.
I don't mind it at all. I've got him at 203 right now, but it's in a tier that goes from 112 to 204. So like he could easily be there for me as well.
Yeah, he was one of the couple wide receivers I was eyeing up here, and I really like the pick. As John said, I was fan of him or coming into the season and early on in the season, and he just really blew up. Well, the signs were there last season in 2020 with the shortened COVID season. So I mean, he just continued where he left off there, and yeah, he's a very good wide receiver. I think some of the concerns that maybe the film community has is just upside. There's little things that he could clean up and do better, but honestly, I think he's going to be a good receiver at the next level.
Me too.
I agree. Real quick, let's do a recap, and then we'll get in the second round. We'll try and go a little quicker here. We got at 101, Breece Hall, Traylon Burks at 102, Matt Corral 103, Sam Howell 104, Garrett Wilson 105, Jameson Williams 106, Isaiah Spiller 107, David Bell 108, Kenneth Walker 109, Drake London 110, Malik Willis at 111, and Jahan Dotson at the ever-important 1012.
Nice. And guys, you might not even recognize me with this pick. I'm drafting for need here, but I'm going to draft Kenny Pickett. I don't know. If the guy has a chance to be a top 5 NFL pick and at the quarterback position, and I don't like it. I don't love him as a prospect. To be honest, he's in that tier with Malik Willis for me, so he's not up with the top couple guys. But hey, in the beginning of the second round here, there's no sure bets from the remaining wide receivers, so I will go Kenny Pickett here, quarterback from Pitt.
Honestly, he's not my next player, but he's my second, the player after that. So I really do not hate it at all. I think, once again, this is where you would take a QB like that. And so I'm not the biggest Kenny Pickett fan. A lot of the things don't make sense. Why did it take him 5 years to figure it all out and everything? But I mean, at the same time, I'm the guy that says, don't freak out because it took him a little longer. If it happened, it happened. He did break out, and he stood out. He played like crazy. And so I'm not taking him at 101. I'm not taking him at 106. But here at 201, I really don't mind it once again.
All right, I'm going to lay out the Pickett scenario, or not the scenario, but the facts of how it's all going to happen. All right, I have Pickett at 112. 201 is perfectly fine. I have him there because he will. I've been a Pickett hater. He's kind of rising just because he will be drafted top 10. I'm pretty confident in that. So took him 5 years to break out. He was playing against guys that were on the seesaw when he was starting to play football. He's going to come into the league. He's going to have a role, and he's going to be, Sam Darnold. Maybe a little better. Maybe better than Sam Darnold. But he'll be like, a QB 23 his rookie year because he'll come in a little ready. But then people are going to keep saying, well, he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. No, he's not. He's going to lose his job in 3 or 4 years, but he's going to give you 3 or 4 years of, super flex spot material. And that's perfectly fine if you accept that. And it's perfectly acceptable at 201. But people are going to start taking him as a top 4 pick. That's the Kenny Pickett timeline.
Yep. I mean, like you said, he's projected to get like top 10 draft capital at this point. And so if the NFL is like, hey, this 5th-year guy is that good. I'm not saying the NFL gets it right all the time, but, he's going to have every opportunity to play. And we've seen that, what players are valuable as long as they're on the field. And if he's a top 10 pick, he's going to be on the field.
Even if he falls, he's going to fall to a team that he'll be the day one starter of, I feel, anywhere in the first. So even if he does fall, people are going to say he's the starter of Washington or whatever, and he'll be a top 4 pick. And at that point, it's too rich. It's too rich.
I agree. So who do you got at 202?
Oh, shit, I'm up. Oh, God. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't show my cards this early. I'll get absolutely ridiculed. No, I'm going to do it. Zamir White, Georgia. I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it at 202. I know I don't. He'll be there at 302. I know. So, but that's where he's at. That's who I would rather take over these tier of players. I think. Does he have the college dominator? No. Does he have the receiving upside that as he showed it? No. I just think that he's going to be a good NFL running back. And it's definitely a guy that I probably got to throw down my list at some point soon. But
I mean, I think at least you realize that he probably will be the 302
Yes,
and not
he
the
will.
202. And so, like, you know, you're just taking your guy at that point. So
Exactly.
I really don't mind it. But that is one spicy meatball.
Oh yeah, I know.
My buddy Drew Christensen, who's following along live here, loves the Zamir pick. So hey, you got somebody pulling for you.
402.
I'm all out. No. That's
Well, you heard it
awesome.
here first, all right? I didn't just load Dynasty Nerds rankings and spit them back at you.
It's true. That is true.
right,
And
that's
no,
my
I don't think
point.
no one can ever accuse Duchesne's of doing that by any means. So I'm going to take the proper pick here. And, and actually, I don't even know how, honestly, I haven't heard that much about him from other people. And so I don't know how excited people are, but I'm going to take Kyron Williams here. And I think, you know, another running back, you know, probably maybe the last in a tier for me here, or maybe there's one more that's kind of close. But I really do think that he'd be like kind of the last one. And here at 203, you know, it kind of reminds me of taking like a Michael Carter last year, or, you know, in this past class of, you know, similar draft capital and rookie drafts. Kind of a similar size too. I think he's like 5'9", 195, something around there. And, you know, very much so receiving back, you know, 40 receptions or 42, whatever it was this year, like 35 last year, 1,400 scrimmage yards last year, pretty much the same this year. And, you know, I really like, obviously there's a lot more that goes into it, but, you know, I'm trying to keep it quick. But, you know, I guess people would probably get a little concerned with the size, being that he's only 195. We don't actually have like a set size just yet or a set weight, but yeah, I definitely like the talent.
I'm out. I'm also I'm out on Kyron Williams.
It's just so sad that he couldn't be like 10 more pounds, you know, because an NFL franchise is likely, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but likely to pigeonhole him to, I don't know, like a Myles Gaskin type of role, something like that. You know, really, are they going to commit to him long term? That's the question that I have. But honestly, Kyron, he's a good pick. Honestly, he's going to be.
He's gonna be probably a first round guy for some. No, he'll probably be early second. He'll be around there.
Yeah.
No, you got to go with good running backs like Superior White.
Yeah, I messed up.
So I have a tier of 5 guys here, actually. So maybe they'll last a little while here. So I did have a hard time making this decision. I'm going to go with big upside, George Pickens, Georgia wide receiver. Yeah,
Fuck!
Sorry, Duchesne's. I'm sorry about that, but
You don't want him. He sucks.
you know what? I'm not sorry, because this guy's got big upside.
Fuck.
He does. I tweeted this out, or I was responding to, I don't know if it was Du Bois' tweet, Kevin Du Bois on Twitter. But anyways, I was saying that he does a lot of the things that David Bell does, but he almost does them just a little bit more burst and tenacity. And yes, there's a little bit of concerns with, you know, maybe maturity, what have you, with Pickens there. But honestly, the guy's really good. He came back from injury. He was out the season. He came back for the championship game. So it's showing that, okay, he got back to full health. So I'm not really concerned from a health standpoint. And the guy's got the frame just to be a alpha number 1 type of guy. If you care about that sheer size and, you know, the tenacity that he has as a pass catcher, contested catch guy, and he's a decent route runner. He doesn't have the long speed, but I like George Pickens a good amount here. What do you guys think about that?
It's a terrible pick. Never should have done.
Yeah, Duchesne's doesn't like it, clearly. Honestly, he's not my next player, but he's right after him. So I think, kind of like you said, there's a pretty big tier here. And so I really wouldn't argue with too many of these guys here. I think you can kind of make an argument. And they all have different reasons for being in this tier. You know, Pickens with the injury and the off the field concerns, and then, you know, some of these other guys with, you know, with different concerns, and that's why they're not going to be in the first round, you know, area, or at least not for us or not for me. But I think there's enough excitement about Pickens, you know, that here at 204, I do not mind it whatsoever.
No, it's a fantastic pick at 204. You're not questioning. You're kind of just questioning, you know, how does he come back from his injury and draft capital? But the talent is absolutely there. Wide receiver 1, arguably coming into the year, So I've got one person left in this tier, actually, and then it's a massive drop for me. So I'm glad that I was able to get it. It's kind of similar to Pickens in that it's an injury guy, so you're getting a discount, I feel, but it's going to be John Metchi out of Alabama coming off of the ACL injury. Big play kind of guy, massive upside, and I just feel more comfortable with this talent and taking the injury discount before we get into some guys that have some not severe, but more question marks, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see it. I think the thing with a lot of these injury guys is they're still projected to get like pretty good draft capital. And so, if I think Metchi's still being drafted or projected in like the top 25 of this draft. And it's like, dude got injured and he really wasn't that amazing. But yet, if you're going to give him, you're going to give him at least first round draft capital. I mean, that's showing something. So once again, here at 205, there's really nothing wrong with it. I don't mind it. He's in the same tier of guys. I don't have him next, but once again, I'm not going to argue with it.
I mean, John Metchi, he's just a classic Bama wide receiver that'll come out, maybe like a Henry Ruggs. And Ruggs was probably overdrafted in fantasy circles, and I guess he did get that really early first round draft capital. But I think Metchi is along that vein, though. He might get some solid draft capital. I'm not so sold on the first round anymore, but he's going to get that Alabama bump. And his production probably doesn't quite justify it. But if he gets, the opportunity, he might get peppered with targets and show that he can develop and stick out. So who knows? I don't mind that pick there in the middle second.
Yeah, I agree. So this is where it starts getting a little more difficult for me because like you said, there is kind of a big tier here. And so I'm not overly excited about any one player here. But I think once we actually have like landing spots and teams to look at, it'll be a lot easier to figure out, which one you want and everything. I'm going to go with the guy that I think a lot of people were really excited about, especially Devy, Devy players very excited about. And then that excitement kind of waned over the years, and it's Chris Alave. I think, he's still, once again, he's still being projected, very high draft capital. Might be another first round pick. Like they're talking about like 6 first round picks in this class, and I mean, I say they. I'm looking at like consensus and stuff like that. So God only knows where he'll actually end up at. But I mean, like I said, people were very excited about Alave. He kind of he did break out in his sophomore year, and then he kind of just did the same thing for the rest of his career. But you have so much competition there at Ohio State, and so I don't want to just like make excuses for him, but at the same time, in the middle of the second round, I can see maybe he can go be the wide receiver 2 on the team. I don't expect him to be a stud, wide receiver 1 or anything like that, but if he can just be a wide receiver 2, if I get him as a second round pick, I really don't mind it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think I had him as an early second in last year's mock or something, or maybe even 112. He's fallen for me a decent amount, but I mean, what are we at? 206. I feel like he just lacks some upside. Like I feel pretty confident that he'll be a flex player. But I don't know if he'll be a wide receiver 1 ever.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there as far as the pure upside, because he's not super physical. He's got a more slender build. He's more of a route runner technician type of dude, but if you do look, you can't ignore what he did this year, because he did disappoint somewhat this year. Not the best showing as a senior. He probably should have just declared, but anyways. But when we look deeper at his third year and you compare it to even a very good, maybe not elite, but a very good prospect in Justin Jefferson. And when I say not elite, Justin Jefferson is an elite player. As a prospect, he was a very good
Absolutely.
prospect.
That's people confuse stuff like that. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't want to be misconstrued here, but to get back on point, Alave in the third season, his third collegiate season, same as Justin Jefferson's third season, he had a better dominator rating, better market share, better reception touchdown share, better yards per team pass attempt. Alave outdid Jefferson in all of these. Only thing Alave didn't do is he didn't declare, and he didn't, obviously, he came back and he disappointed. So, and he outdid Jameson Williams and all of those as well in the third year. So those things kind of stick out to me. It's like, wow, Alave actually, he impressed, but then he didn't capitalize on it. He just returned. He thought he was going to pull a Devonta Smith and just rise endlessly, but there's just too much talent there at Ohio State. So I actually see this as, I do have some concerns about the true upside with him, but I think he also has a path to be a good NFL player and kind of slept on based on his most recent performance. So I don't mind that pick at all, John.
And for whatever reason, wide receivers coming out of Ohio State tend to be slept on, and it just really tends to happen. So if there was ever a college that I was going to be like, yeah, maybe I'm a little higher on those guys, it would probably be Ohio State. All right, who you got at 207, Aaron?
That's fair for sure. I'm going to go Wan'Dale Robinson. So former Kentucky player, or sorry, yes. Well, now that he's declared former Kentucky player, he was for Nebraska. I started off as more of a running back, then they really switched him over to wide receiver because they saw the tantalizing upside. It really took that transfer for him to really get those sheer or raw numbers. So the raw statistics very good this season, but he also hit on all the shares that you want to see. And the big concern for everybody is going to be that size. They're going to get hung up on the 5'9" right now. I mean, I've seen 5'10" or 5'11". I think he's 5'9", to be honest. And they're going to get hung up on that. Who else is listed as that? Rondale Moore, and that's very much a recency bias. We saw Rondale Moore not produce very well, but Hollywood Brown is also listed at 5'9", and he's done just fine. People have got over that fact that he came in at 5'9" and I don't know, 160 something. So I mean, players can make it work. However, maybe not quite as solid of a bet. But when I'm digging here in the late second, I like it. And the thing that separates Wan'Dale Robinson from Rondale Moore for me is the fact that he's actually used down the field. He's used on some deep routes, at least some medium routes. Rondale Moore really was not. I mean, that was my biggest, I guess, concern was he wasn't really a wide receiver. He was just a guy who was used underneath a lot. So Wan'Dale did get those deep opportunities. I like the upside here. He does check a lot of boxes. The size thing I'll be watching very closely, and I think he could be a very nice guy in the late second in drafts.
Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you. I had him as the next player, like the last player in that tier. I actually considered taking him instead of Alave. And when all's said and done, I might go for the upside of Wan'Dale over Alave. But in the same tier as of right now, I think the major concerns, like you said, are the size. I've heard people talking about him being shorter. Like a Rondale, like even like a 5'7", and people start freaking out when you talk about 5'7". But Aaron, especially knows that I don't really freak out about the size, of players. Elijah Moore came out, and people were kind of scared of his size, and then he balled out. I mean, I know he had some injuries and everything, so maybe that's not ideal. But when he was on the field and he was healthy, dude balled out with the rookie QB that wasn't doing all that amazing. And so, I'm over the whole size thing. I mean, we've seen too many good players that are not 6'4", 225 pounds, and it doesn't matter. So, why am I going to freak out that somebody's 5'9"? Now, I mean, I guess there's always, like your Deuce Vaughns and stuff, like, if you're 5'6", maybe it's a little too much, but there's got to be a cutoff somewhere.
I thought Aaron wanted to say something, but
I was gonna dive into that whole, like, yes, there was a picture of him and Rondale Moore side by side, and people are like, oh yeah, well, he looks shorter than him, but I mean, there's all sorts of distortion things that can happen with photographs.
Reddit conspiracy artists.
Exactly. I'm gonna wait till the measurements come in, and I will adjust if he's 5'9" or shorter for sure. But at this point, I am kind of expecting that, and still realizing that he's a versatile player. He can be used all over, including deep. But he probably will be more of a slot player, so maybe lacking that elite upside.
Yeah, I don't expect him to be there at this point. This is where I would take Robinson as well. I expect him to go early second when rookie drafts come around. We get into a tier here that's a little murky, I'd say. And I'm going to skip my next prospect and just go for safety. So my philosophy on tight ends has changed a little bit. I used to say, fuck, I'll get them later. I don't want to waste a pick on them for them to bust and take forever. I'll just pay up and get a good one when they're good. Well, counterpoint that I started realizing is that they don't have to actually do anything and they hold their value. They can barely do anything and they're going to hold this mid-second value for a couple of years as long as they play and show something. So I'll take so now I will take the shot. What are we at? 207, 206, right around there.
208.
208, even better. And I'm going to take Trey McBride, my tight end one out of Colorado State. Big boy, shed 2'4", 2'4", 650, 6'4", 260. Duke caught 90 passes this year for 1,100 yards, only one tutty. So huge regression coming, but he's a guy that should transition well to the NFL game and should hold that second round value if he just stays alive for a year. Safety pick.
Not comping the players at all, but 208, 209 was my Pat Fryermuth
exactly
this past year, and I feel like I'm right there with you. And he's not gonna, like, worst case scenario, he'll be like an early third valuation. If he doesn't do much in his first year, he's not going to completely drop off or anything because people want that upside of the tight ends. So, like I said, I have not looked at the tight ends. I can't say this is where I would pick them, but it feels right. It really does. Now, I will say some of the sizes are going to be on you for picking a guy that's only 2'4", but it's
he's 640 though.
Yeah, that's true. He is 640. I didn't even think about that. Dude's got to be slow, man.
Thick boy.
He's thick. Oh man. All right, so that brings me to another running back. So, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm all about the running backs right now, but, maybe this running back class isn't as bad as we thought. Now, this one is definitely more of an upside play, I think. A very exciting prospect, but maybe not necessarily guaranteed everything. Aaron and I have talked about this player a little bit, and it's Jerome Ford. I think, and Aaron's upset. We'd love to see it, but I just think he has maybe everything that you would want except for possible draft capital. I think at this point, dude is exciting, explosive. I think when he's just going to tear up the combine and all that kind of good stuff, and that right here at the end of the second round, that's where I want to take a player like that.
Yeah, Ford was the guy that I was contemplating as well, but I have a couple running backs here. This running back class lacks a top-end talent. Well, Breece Hall is there, but there will be a couple running backs that are going to skyrocket in value in the late second, third round. At least a couple of these guys will get a role, and they will skyrocket in value. Even if that skyrocket is maybe a Gainwell, you're getting them a little later.
Aaron, I took your guy.
I like it. You took my guy, but it was a good pick. I commend you for that. And that leaves me really not sure what I'm going to do here. I could go, not to give your guys' last few picks away, but I could go Carson Strong, quarterback here. Not sure if he gets first round draft capital. Might stay away.
Not on my board.
Yeah, he's just low upside for fantasy. But if he's an NFL starter, then changes things. But I'm not
Mason Rudolph.
Sure
he has that that type of path,
Right,
he'll probably play some games. You can sell him for a second.
Yeah, he's got a great arm, but that only goes so far when you don't have everything else.
Yeah.
I could go Jalen Weidemeyer, a tight end, Texas A&M. He's a good pick. I could be like Deshane's here, go after the tight ends, and might not actually be a bad investment until we see draft capital. And I know the Sky Moore truthers are they're begging me to pick him right here. I don't know if I want to. His production profile is amazing, though. I will give that to Sky Moore. So I'm going to go Rashad White, running back, ASU, Arizona State, and he really, really stepped up this season. He flashed in that short 2020 season. He was extremely explosive. He put on a little weight, slightly less explosive this season, but he showed out as a receiver. He has the size that you want to see. Might not be quite as physical as some would like, but I really like a lot of the aspects of Rashad White's profile. He's a bit old for the position too, but running backs only last 4 or 5 years nowadays, so if he
Doesn't
comes
even
in and
matter.
he's like, yeah, if he's 24 till 28, I'm fine with that. So I will pick Rachaad White.
Didn't he transition to it not so long ago? Running back.
Well, he was a JUCO guy, so
Oh, okay.
that's why I got a little bit later start in college. But yeah.
Funny story with White. I sometimes when you're looking at certain stats and everything, like it'll only show you he's only played 2 years, and I'm like, oh sweet, he's a sophomore. Why is nobody talking about this guy? And then I'm like, I'm freaking out. He's like a top 5 running back for me, and then all of a sudden I realize he's a senior, and I'm like, it makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, he's gone up my board a little bit. I've gone looking or whatever, studying him a little later on. So right around here seems right, because there's a couple of guys that like it would be like a Zamir White pick. What are we on right now? What pick?
That was 210. You're on 211.
All right, so this is my last pick. I'll save them. So I won't show my hand. I already showed you guys Zamir White. You guys will have to guess my other 2 running backs that are sitting here. So I'll give one more tight end pick, a safety pick, but it's who I have here besides these 2 running backs. And it's not Wiedemeyer, who I think some people might have Wiedemeyer as the one. And it's not Billingsley, the slim guy out of Bama, the Gerald Everett. I got Charlie Kolar. And he's the Freiermuth kind of pick, the tight end 2 that I think might transition the best to the pros. Absolutely dominated the dominator rating. I mean, like 30%. It was Breece Hall and Kolar. Great blocker. And I think he'll just step in and can be a serviceable fantasy and NFL tight end day one.
I'm sorry, my headphones kind of cut out. Who was it?
Tight end.
Kolar.
Oh, keep going.
Charlie Kolar, tight end, Arizona. Sorry, Iowa State. But
Nice.
not bad. I am gonna guess your 2 running backs here, Deshane's, just
Do
for
it.
fun.
Do it.
Tyler Algier and Brian Robinson. But
Ooh, you got one.
you got one. Okay, only one, huh? But
Yeah.
it's a solid pick. Sometimes I like rolling the dice a little bit on the upside of those running backs, but it's more of a safe pick there.
Exactly.
All right, so that brings me to the end, the 212, and I'm between 2 players here. I'm not overly excited about one of them. I guess I'm not really overly excited about either one of them. But
You have to take Sky Moore, or they will burn. They will riot if you don't take.
No, I can promise you, Sky. I mean, he's not that far down, but he's not my next player. He's not the next 3, 4. So, sorry, I'm not going to be the guy that does Sky Moore. I considered Carson Strong here. I don't think he's going to hit, but I understand, like the upside of the QB and all that kind of stuff here. At the end of the second, it's really not a terrible pick. I mean, I've seen mocks, I've heard mocks on pods of Carson Strong in like the mid first. So,
Third round.
At 212.
Take those quarterbacks in the 3rd round.
Exactly. At 212, I really don't hate it, but I think I am going to go with Tyler Algier here. Was it Algier or Algier? I've heard it both ways.
I said Algier. I don't know. I've heard it all.
I said now I've heard it 3 ways, but obviously not overly exciting as far as the competition level. He was Brigham Young, right? BYU.
Yeah.
So not the competition isn't quite there. But I mean, dude balled out once again. I like looking for the receiving, backs, the guys that can't, have hands. He definitely has that, like 20, 30 receptions every year. He's a senior, not overly exciting, but he has the right size and everything. I guess we'll just have to wait and see the combine and then the draft capital. But here at 212, another running back that could possibly become something. And, we're seeing a lot of these running backs in the NFL, your Dalvin Cooks and your Derrick Henrys, 26, 27, 28 years old. And so somebody's got to take those spots, even if it's not year one at some point. So I definitely don't mind taking him here at 212.
Yeah, I think he'll find his way into some sort of role eventually in the NFL.
Next, James Conner. Maybe.
Ooh.
I don't hate it. So, quick recap: we had Zamir White, Kyron Williams, George Pickens, John Metchi, Chris Alave, Wan'Dale Robinson, Trey McBride, Jerome Ford, Rachaad White, Charlie Kolar. Was that right?
Cole. Yeah.
And then and Tyler Algier. So that wraps up our second round. And honestly, I felt like we were pretty in tune here for it being blind. We weren't that far off on a lot of these picks, so that's pretty good to know.
Zamir White, baby.
Except for Zamir White, that might have been the one.
Coral went a little high for me, but no, yeah, we were pretty in tune.
I liked it.
I would agree.
So we knocked off the rust. We're back, and we definitely would like to do these more often. Hopefully, we can get back to it a little sooner. Aaron was studying. He was trying to graduate, and then obviously trying to find a job, which he has now done. Congratulations once again. Duchesne's was going through his wedding. I had to drive like 3,500 miles to go to his wedding. I'll never do that again. That was terrible, but. Yeah, I'm very excited about these rookies, and hopefully this made you guys a little more excited about this class. I still have players I'm excited about on my list, so it's not like it's done. Like this class isn't over, and obviously they're not all gonna hit. They're not all gonna be. I'm not even gonna be as excited. Once draft capital hits on all these players or anything like that. So, it's not gonna say the same. But I think the fact is that there's the prospects for an exciting draft class are there. And, go get those picks if they're discounted. If people are trying to rake you over the coals, then, that's completely different. But yeah, go get those picks. We will be back with another Devy Devotional as soon as possible, hopefully next month. And I'm going to be having Duchesne's and Aaron on the Monocle Dynasty podcast so that we can talk about more rookies very soon. Just in case somebody tunes out just because they see Devy, we want to do a little bit of both. Get them on the Monocle as well. We'll probably switch it up, talk about some of our upcoming drafts. And in fact, I think we might all be in an upcoming C2C draft, which we would probably want to talk about on the Devy pod, but a lot to talk about, a lot to be excited about. Any last words, last thoughts, my friends?
Not much. Thanks for having me. That's it.
Yeah, appreciate being back. It's so good to talk about these prospects, and can't wait to get more into the Devy C2C conversations that we'll have this offseason.
Absolutely. Well, we will be back as soon as possible, like I said, and we will stay devoted to Devy. But for now, we're cashing out. See you guys.